Remember when I said this PhD drama couldn't get any dumber? I was catastrophically wrong, because Mr. Mike just pulled off what might be the worst damage control in the history of the internet. In the last few days, Mike went from, "That wasn't the final version of my thesis," to, "Okay, fine, it was the final version, we just edited it after Solomon exposed it." This is no longer about a bad PhD thesis. This is about a cover-up so incompetent it makes Watergate look like a masterclass in crisis management. Also, shout out to Greg Doucette for mentioning my channel. Greg, I know you're watching this, and I know you're about to make 50 videos about this topic. All right, let's break down how Mike took a bad situation and somehow made it infinitely worse. Quick recap for anyone just joining us. Solomon Nelson downloaded Mike's PhD thesis and discovered it was an absolute disaster. Athletes who were negative years old, people shorter than 0 centimeters, copy-pasted errors throughout, and research that basically concluded strong people are strong. This was embarrassing but survivable. Mike could have said, "Yeah, I phoned in my dissertation in 2013, my bad, but look at all the good work I've done since." People would have roasted him for a week and moved on. But Mike's ego is the size of a small planet, so instead of taking the L, he decided to lie about it. And that's where this story goes from embarrassing to absolutely hilarious. A few days ago, Mike's response was, "Solomon reviewed a rough draft that was accidentally uploaded. The real final version is clean and professional. We'll upload it soon." His buddy, Milo, the Wolfman, made an entire video defending this position. The Wolfman spent time explaining how PhD programs work, how drafts get revised, how it's totally normal to have multiple versions. Very detailed, very confident, very trust us, bro. They released what they claimed was the real final version dated March 2013. Cleaner, with fewer errors, obviously the actual approved dissertation. Except, there were some massive problems with this story that people immediately noticed. First, the final version they released was owned by a digital marketing agency in Argentina that works with Mike. Why would Mike's 2013 PhD thesis be owned and edited by his current marketing team? That's not how archived documents work. Second, the PDF was clearly 2 different documents stitched together. Pages 1 to 200 were editable Word document exports. Pages 201 to 223, the ones with official university stamps, were scanned images. Why Frankenstein 2 documents together unless you're trying to hide something? Third, and most damning, the corrected version was dated March 2013. Solomon reviewed a version dated August 2013. Think about that for a second. Mike claimed the earlier version from March was the clean final draft, and the later version from August that Solomon reviewed was a messy rough draft. How does a rough draft from August have more errors than a final version from March? Did Mike go back in time and make his thesis worse? Did he unrevise it? That's impossible unless someone edited the document recently and tried to pass it off as the original. Fourth, immediately after Solomon's video dropped, Mike restricted access to his thesis on the university website. Why hide the original if there's nothing to hide? So, Mike's new statement, and I quote, "On review, the dissertation Solomon examined was indeed the correct document." Hold on, what? You spent days saying Solomon reviewed a rough draft. You had your friend make an entire video explaining that. You released a corrected final version. And now you're saying, yeah, actually, Solomon had the right one all along. So what was that other document you released? You just made up a cleaner version, dated it March 2013, and hoped nobody would notice? Mike's new excuse is that the errors were just clerical. A misplaced negative sign on a few correlations and a table pasting misalignment repeated across 3 tables. Brother! Those clerical errors included athletes who were negative 1.6 years old, athletes who weighed 2 kilograms, people who were 11 feet tall, standard deviations that were mathematically impossible. Those aren't typos. Those are fundamental data entry failures that invalidate your entire results section. You can't just call that clerical and act like it's no big deal. And he did this because he couldn't handle the ego hit of admitting his PhD was bad? Think about that. He risked his entire reputation and possibly legal consequences because saying, "Yeah, my dissertation wasn't great," was too painful for his ego. Milo made an entire video defending the rough draft story. Now the Wolfman looks like either a liar or an idiot who got played. His reputation is damaged before his channel even really took off. Mike threw the Milo to the wolves. That's some poetic irony right there. Thanks, Mike. Jeff Nippard was in the comments defending Mike, mocking Solomon, saying people don't understand how PhD programs work. Now, Jeff looks like a clown who got duped. The university looks terrible. Mike took a situation that would have blown over in a week and turned it into a scandal that's going to follow him forever. But it gets even better. Mike's current story is that he gave Milo multiple versions of the thesis, and Milo somehow found the updated final version dated March 2013. Except there's one tiny problem with that story that Milo himself said on YouTube 3 separate times, that Mike only gave him one document, not multiple versions, one, singular, uno. So either Mike is lying about giving Milo multiple versions, or Milo is lying about only receiving one. And since Milo said it 3 times before Mike came out with this new story, I'm gonna go ahead and say Mike is lying. Again. For someone who claims to be a genius, that's remarkably stupid behavior. A smart person would have said, yeah, my dissertation was rough, I was young and rushed it, but look at all the quality work I've done since. Done. Everyone moves on. Instead, Mike's ego couldn't handle admitting fault, and now this shitstorm has happened. And now we come to the most entertaining part of all this. Greg Doucette is absolutely going to feast on this content for months. Greg and Mike have had beef for years. Greg's been calling out Mike's bullshit forever. And now, Mike just handed Greg the greatest gift possible. Proof that Mike lies when confronted with criticism and possibly commits forgery to cover his ass. Greg is going to make 50 videos about this, each one more pitch higher than the last. And the best part? Mike can't really respond. What's he gonna say? Greg, stop making fun of me for lying and forging documents. I know some of you are thinking, who cares about a PhD from 2013? This is all just drama. And you're partially right. The original thesis being bad? Whatever. Ancient history. But this exposed something way more important, Mike's character. This isn't just a PhD problem. This is a "this person cannot be trusted" problem. If Mike lies about something this easily verifiable, what else is he lying about? His training advice? His diet recommendations? His drug protocols? How can you trust anything he says when we now know he'll just lie when caught? This isn't about perfectionism or making mistakes. This is about integrity. So where does this leave us? Mike's career isn't over. He's made millions. He has a loyal fan base. He'll keep making content. But his reputation is permanently damaged. The Dr. Mike brand is dead. Nobody's going to take that PhD seriously ever again. Every time he tries to use his credentials to win an argument, someone's going to bring this up. Every time he acts like he's smarter than everyone else, someone's going to post the screenshot of him admitting he lied about his thesis. He's going to have to rebuild trust, and that's going to take years if it's even possible. The Wolfman's career is also damaged from this. Jeff Nippard and other defenders look foolish for going to bat for Mike without checking the facts first. Solomon Nelson looks like a hero for doing actual investigative work instead of just accepting credentials at face value. And Greg Doucette is going to make enough content from this to buy another house. And me, I'm making my 3rd video about PhD drama instead of actual fitness content because you degenerates keep clicking on it and the algorithm loves controversy. Am I part of the problem? Absolutely. Do I care? Not particularly. Mike handed us the greatest content gift imaginable, and I'm going to milk it for all it's worth. At least I'm honest about what I'm doing, unlike some people. Look, here's my actual take on all this. Mike could have survived the bad dissertation. It was embarrassing, but survivable. What he can't survive is being exposed as a liar who forges documents. The fitness industry has a huge problem with people using fake credentials and making shit up. We need less of that, not more. Mike just made it worse by showing that even people with real PhDs will lie and cheat when their ego is threatened. When you fuck up, own it. Don't lie. Don't throw your friends under the bus to cover your ass. Mike, if you're watching this, which you're probably not because you claim to never watch criticism of yourself, here's some free advice. Stop lying. Apologize properly. Own what you did. It's the best way forward. But you won't, because your ego won't let you. And that's why this drama is going to follow you forever. To everyone else, stop trusting people just because they have credentials. Stop defending people just because you like their content. Think critically, ask questions, and when someone gets caught lying, don't make excuses for them. Now, stop watching me talk about YouTube drama and go train something. Your muscles don't care about who has the most legitimate PhD, they only care about progressive overload and adequate protein. Although, at this rate, we're going to need to make a whole series about this drama because might keeps making it worse. I'm Zerk, and I'll see you in the next one, where hopefully we can talk about actual fitness. But probably not, because this shit is too entertaining. Peace out, Gains Goblins.